We have a massive Los Angeles Lakers trade update to go over today as a brand new report is dropped revealing some very interesting details surrounding the Lakers' pursuit of Bradley Beal. We're going to break down those reports and discuss what this means going forward as the Lakers are preparing for something big. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers news. And we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers and we're getting very close to that goal. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today, and we know that the Suns are actively trying to trade Bradley Beal in an attempt to acquire Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat following Jimmy Butler's trade request, and the Lakers have been linked to the former star. So let's dive right into it. You can see this here. This drop from Evan Siddery, also from Gambo. Bradley Beal would be willing to waive his no-trade clause with the Suns to join the Clippers, Heat, Lakers, or Nuggets, and the Suns are actively trying to trade for Jimmy Butler, which would involve Beal being shipped out. Now, there is a lot to unpack surrounding this report because, for one, Bradley Beal is not the player he used to be, and we'll obviously dive into that throughout this video. But as you look at what's transpired and led up to this situation, we know that Jimmy Butler has requested a trade out of Miami, and the Lakers aren't actively pursuing Butler, but the Phoenix Suns are. And the Phoenix Suns are in a very interesting spot. They gave up a ton of assets for Bradley Beal in a trade that hasn't really gone their way thus far. And in order to get Jimmy Butler, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you're going to have to, match salaries and do all these things, but you're going to have to ship Bradley Beal out. And he obviously has a full no-trade clause, but he's willing to waive it for a select few teams, including the Los Angeles Lakers. And this is very interesting because, again, Beal's not great anymore, but he's still having a very respectable season. And when you're thinking about what the Lakers could use, obviously he wants to pair up with LeBron, AD, all these guys. If you're the Lakers, you might be able to take advantage of the fact that maybe you're buying Bradley Beal at its lowest point, but his salary is really rough. And you can see this here. The Chicago Bulls are the favorites at this point to land Beal, but the Lakers are among favorites at plus 1,400. And keep in mind, he has a no-trade clause, so he would have to waive that clause in order to go to the Bulls. And that's the biggest thing to keep in mind going forward for any trade revolving Bradley Beal. But things become very interesting. And again, the Lakers and Nuggets have been named in the new Bradley Beal trade rumor. With one of the most talented cores in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns have fallen far short of the expectations that they had set out for them. They've lost 7 of their last 8. Building around Booker and Durant, in theory, should be one of the easiest jobs in the league. Phoenix has screwed it up. And again, they benched Bradley Beal amid a 4-game losing streak. The Suns reportedly are open to moving 3-time All-Star Bradley Beal to the bench, and they already did that. Removing an All-Star guard from the lineup usually does not end well, and it worked out well for them, but Bradley Beal at this point is benched. And you can see this here. As for the Beal, no trade looms large. He could have went to Milwaukee before he ended up in Phoenix, but that was turned down. Have heard he would waive his clause for LA, Miami, Denver, but I do believe there are a few others that could ultimately decide to. And when you're looking at what a trade may entail surrounding Bradley Beal here, he is, since coming to Phoenix, he hasn't been great by any means. He's averaging 18 points a game right now, and his salary is big. And that is one of the biggest question marks going forward for this Los Angeles Lakers team would be, one, how would you make the salaries work? How would a trade work in order to acquire Bradley Beal? Because things would have to be moved around heavily. Because again, he's on a very big contract. But looking at how he would fit on this team in general, you can see here, again, he's averaging 18 points. He doesn't do much besides score, facilitates a tiny bit. He's shooting 48.9% from the field, almost 40% from 3. He is still a very good player. And what the Lakers need at this point, we think about their starting lineup. They obviously traded for Dorian Finney-Smith. They have some good defensive players. Bradley Beal, would he factor into the starting lineup? Well, we can dive into that as well. But if you're able to pull off a trade for Bradley Beal where you don't have to give up many assets, because the Lakers obviously still have control of their 3 first-round picks. They're willing to trade their 2029 first, 2031 first, all these different things. If you're not going to give up a first for Bradley Beal, there's no world that happens. But if you're able to keep some of your picks and really just swing a deal to maybe help facilitate a Jimmy Butler to Phoenix trade or something of that nature, and you're able to acquire Bradley Beal, things become now very interesting for the Los Angeles Lakers because, again, he's not the player he used to be. I'm not going to pretend like he is. None of us are going to pretend like he is. But he is a very solid player in this league still. And yes, he's fallen short of expectations with the Phoenix Suns so far, but even this season, he's still averaging 33 minutes a game, and he's a very efficient scorer. And when you look at, even if he comes off the bench for the Los Angeles Lakers, that could be a very interesting proposition, because then we've been talking about how they're looking for a scorer off the bench, whether that's Colin Sexton, whether that's Jordan Clarkson. Bradley Beal would be a better version of those guys. However, he's on a massive contract. And there's obviously a relationship between LeBron, AD, Bradley Beal. All these guys are fairly close. A lot of the stars in the league are former stars. In Bradley Beal's case, I wouldn't consider him a star at this point. But he is only 31 years old, and he is under contract for a couple more years. So he is going to continue to be a valuable asset. The problem is his value is almost negative because of his contract situation at this point. But regarding his stats, I mean, last season is coming off of a really efficient year, 51% from the field, 43% from three. And he's always been an extremely efficient player, dating back to his days with the Wizards, even just a couple of years ago. But as you look at how it would kind of work with the starting lineup, the Lakers' most well-rounded starting lineup is Max Christie, Austin Reaves, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron, and AD. Now, if you replace Max Christie with Bradley Beal, you have Austin Reaves, Bradley Beal, DFS, LeBron, and AD, which would be an incredible starting lineup, quite frankly. If great defense with Austin Reaves, AD, Dorian Finney-Smith. LeBron is capable of playing good defense at times. He's obviously approaching 40, so that's starting to decline a little bit. But the pros with the lineup with Max Christie is that the playmaking is great, the three-point shooting is great, and the defense is great. You have great great three-level defense with Max Christie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and AD. Now, if you put Bradley Beal in here, your defense goes down heavily, but you really, from 1 through 5, have multifaceted levels of scoring. Austin Reaves can create. Obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith is that great spot-up 3-and-D guy. You have Bradley Beal who can create on the ball. You have LeBron who can create on the ball, and you have AD who can even create in the post and on the ball as well. But you could even keep this starting lineup. I know JJ Redick has liked it a lot. And then off the bench, you run a bench lineup of, now you obviously have Shake Milton, but Bradley Beal can run the pseudo point guard spot. So you have Beal run the pseudo 1. You have, again, you're not going to be doing full 5-on-5 subs. It doesn't happen at the NBA level. But you can stagger. You have Reaves, Beal, LeBron. Like, you could switch in and out Max Christie and Beal depending on the matchup, depending on how things are going. Like, the fit makes sense. The question is the contract going to make sense? What would you have to give up in order to get Bradley Beal, especially given the contract and everything that's been going on regarding that? So it becomes very, very interesting. And we know the Suns are trying to get rid of him in a deal to acquire Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler fits their team better. Jimmy Butler would also, of course, fit the Lakers pretty good as well. But at this point, it seems like Bradley Beal is more likely if either of them, again, neither of them are super, super likely to come to LA, but Bradley Beal holds a lot of the leverage here. He has a full no trade clause, and he's going to pick where he goes, and he wants to obviously win. And if, the Miami Heat, he requested out of the Heat. So if the Heat are forced to trade, Jimmy Butler away, which we know, and the Suns are the team that ends up getting Jimmy Butler because they're the most interested in him, Bradley Beal is going to get shipped elsewhere. And he, in that case, is really only down to these 4 teams, the Clippers, the Heat, the Lakers, and the Nuggets. And again, then the question from there is, would the Phoenix Suns be willing to ship him to the Clippers? The Heat, maybe. The Nuggets, of course, would be an interesting one. I don't think the Nuggets are going to be super interested. So things could line up well for the Lakers, but let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Very interesting. Is it likely? I don't think it's the most likely thing in the world, but it's something that could definitely happen as the dominoes start to fall surrounding Jimmy Butler. But let me know down below what your thoughts on the report. Do you want Bradley Beal to be a Los Angeles Laker, or would you rather than pursue other players? I think I would rather than use their assets to acquire some more defensive-minded wings and bench scoring, but if you consider Bradley Beal as a bench player, it would be a very interesting fit. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Cheers.